Hi guys, I'm here today with Matt Land, who's a dear friend, longtime friend from Eve Air Mobility. Matt, first of all, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you. You've been involved with a lot of great organizations over the time of my public service, and we've been able to collaborate on a lot of great things. We've become really good friends. Today, we're here to talk about something that gets me extremely excited, right? I've been around transportation my entire career. I've been on the MPO, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization that got changed to the Transportation Planning Organization, since I started. I was a vice chair for two terms. And I think one of the most important questions that I get is they see this explosive growth in Miami. You know, obviously rental prices is one, but the other thing that they talk about is transportation. How is Miami going to deal with this explosive growth? We've got 47,000 residential units in our pipeline, over 6 million square feet of commercial buildings in our pipeline over the next 2 to 4 years. How are we going to deal with this growth? And, and I'll be honest, I mean, I think we as a community have fallen short on delivering transportation solutions. What I love about urban air mobility is that it presents a possible solution at a fraction of the cost, right? A fraction of the infrastructure cost. There's so much to talk about with Eve. I'll give it to you. Tell us a little bit about Eve and what does it do for the viewers who may not even know what urban air mobility is.
Sure. So Eve Air Mobility is a new company in this space. We spun off from Embraer in October 2020. Embraer's been in Florida for over 4 decades, certifying aircraft and building aircraft right here in the state of Florida. We have executive jet manufacturing facilities in Melbourne. We've got our North American headquarters for Embraer down in Fort Lauderdale. And so Eve is excited to lean on that experience and expertise of finding ways to innovate in this new aviation industry, right? To develop an eVTOL, an electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Using that experience combined with the safety that Embraer has, we are very confident in our ability to certify and produce an eVTOL and get in commercial operations in 2026.
You know, it's exciting because you think about how the city is developing, right? And cities are developing in what I call 15-minute walkable chunks, right? So you have the Grove, you have Midtown, you have Wynwood, you have all these little sub neighborhoods. But where I think the challenge is going to be is going across the city, right? Is how do you, if you right now, if I want to go to dinner at Wynwood, it's a drive, and you got to fight traffic and all that. So what ends up happening is oftentimes is we confine ourselves to the neighborhood that we live in, which is fine in many ways, but we limit ourselves, right? To dining opportunities, to be with our friends who may be living in other parts of the city. And it feels like a chore, like to drive to the other side. And I think, the urban air mobility technology that Eve is proposing in part is really something that can help us with that cross-city transportation at almost no cost, right? Because we have this decentralized set of parking garages and other assets that we have to be able to do this. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. So our eVTOL that we are designing is being designed for urban operations, right? So the range on our aircraft is 65 miles. So we're looking at hops that are 10 to 30 miles in range, right? So I mean, exactly like you said, I mean, listen, I live in South Beach and
well, there you go.
I stay in my neighborhood too. You know, coming over the bridge it's a lot. But so we think about it for not only our residents, but also our tourists too. If you come into South Beach and you stay here, you may not get to see all of the amazing things Miami-Dade County has to offer. Being able to go down to the Everglades and take an airboat ride, right? See the alligators, right? Things like that. Maybe there's a hot new restaurant that's opening up, like you said, in Wynwood. But that traffic is insane to get to wherever you're going to. And this can provide, an alternative mode of transportation, one that complements existing forms of transportation, which we're really excited about.
Absolutely. And I think you see, like, for example, with Basel, right? That you either have to be in the beach for a day or you have to be in the city for a day because it's hard to go from one to the other. And so when you have also these extreme events where the population of the city balloons to 2x or 3x, it also helps significantly in that time. I think what's beautiful about these is they're electric, they're quiet, they will eventually be autonomous. And when they are autonomous, they're going to be able to carry up to 6 people, 4 to 6 people. And so you're going to have significant throughput in terms of moving people. And let's talk a little bit about the cost, right? Because people may wonder, is this going to be something that's democratized, or is this going to be something that only a certain segment of our city is going to be able to use? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So for Eve, we look at ourselves as an ecosystem integrator. We are not operating our aircraft like some of the other OEMs in this industry are.
Right.
So we are selling them to people who are going to be operating them. So ultimately, they're going to be determining the cost.
Sure.
But I mean, you spoke very specifically about Basel.
Yeah.
So we back in March we released a concept of operations that studied the journey for the eVTOL itself, as well as the passenger journey going from Miami International Airport to the Miami Beach Convention Center. And we looked at it very specifically with high impact traffic weekends like our Basel.
Right.
So when we talk about cost, Friday afternoon during our Basel, if you were to take a regular Uber, it's going to take you a little bit more than an hour. During our Basel, it's going to cost you about $100. Taking an Uber XL, it's going to cost about $128. We expect that if let's say the parcel of land near the Miami Beach near Miami International Airport, near the rental car center, where we used as a node A for this concept of operations, if it was there, so you have to take the people, move it to get there once you arrive. But then you get over to the Miami Beach Convention Center. We expect at day one operations could be about $90 per passenger. If we think about it in an unconstrained market, and
time wise, is there a time savings?
Oh, absolutely, for sure time savings. We're talking about a journey that's 7 to 10 minutes of a flight, right?
So you're saving $30 if it's an Uber XL, and you're saving, really most importantly, you're saving basically 80% of the time.
Correct.
Incredible.
And then if we think about like an unconstrained market where we do have autonomous operations and we have removed that pilot, we've reconfigured the cabin and added additional passengers in there. We've moved, thinking about if the vertiport at Miami International Airport was located closer to arrivals, maybe on top of the Flamingo or the Dolphin garages, we retrofit that.
Yeah.
So much easier, like if you were going to get an Uber, you just go right downstairs.
Sure.
That flight right there in an unconstrained market is looking at about $45 a passenger.
Wow.
And the time savings is even more significant because you don't have to take the people mover over to the rental car center.
Yeah,
so we absolutely see this as a market that should be
game
attainable.
changer.
It is, and it should be attainable and achievable to everybody, right?
I think what happens is we've seen, particularly in mobility, the private sector really disrupting mobility and saying, hey, if government can't solve this problem for whatever reason, we're going to hack our way around it, and we're going to see this as a market opportunity. And it's exciting for me because I don't really care who solves the problem. All I care about is that the problem gets solved. I think government will have a role, certainly in regulating, and government will have a role potentially in the stations and sort of the decentralized stations. But I think it's great because it'll be a lot less expensive, right? We don't have to build massive infrastructure. And it's much easier for governments to handle.
We have the largest public order backlog across the entire industry.
I think that's important. I want you to repeat that. You have the largest public order back order, like meaning the largest number of people that have ordered your fleet. Right. Obviously, from a regulatory perspective, it's not yet. No urban air mobility company is yet able to operate. So that's the challenge right now that the whole industry is going through, is essentially certification by the FAA to be able to fly in a safe way, because obviously once they're go, it's got to be safe. That's the number one most important thing. You cannot have any accidents, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we
amazing.
We intend to certify through ANAC, which is the kind of the Brazilian mirror, the arm of the FAA. It's like their version of the FAA, right? Which is what Embraer's done for decades. And then we will seek trilateral certifications through EASA, the European version, and then the FAA as well. Yeah. So yes, largest public order backlog in the entire industry. We have purchase orders for up to 1,825 eVTOLs.
And I know some in this area too.
We do. 19 companies across the world. In the United States, folks like Republic and SkyWest Airlines, but very specifically down here in South Florida, a company called GlobalX. It's operating out of Miami International Airport.
Awesome.
They have a purchase order for up to 200 of our eVTOls.
That's amazing.
And they intend to operate them here in South Florida.
That's
so it's very exciting, to know that we've got leaders like you that are creating the space and working to help develop the ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, if our customers take delivery of our aircraft and we haven't developed the necessary infrastructure, if we haven't worked,
sitting in a warehouse.
Exactly. We're working with our partners like Florida Power and Light to figure out how much power is going to be required and making sure that the power is there at the vertiport nodes so that they can recharge these batteries.
Listen, I love it. I am excited about your launch. I'm excited about the launch of this technology for our community, for our world. And I think it's something that is going to transform the way we do things.
Yeah, no, listen, we're very excited about it as well. At Eve, by releasing concepts operations like we are, we're doing them all across the entire world. We've done them in Australia and with the UK and here in Miami-Dade County, and we are really catalyzing the conversation. And we're hoping that the industry is really picking up on that and continuing to further that. These documents that we're producing are intended for you. They're intended for the business community. They're intended for our partners in this industry and our colleagues in this space, to start figuring this stuff out. Because at the end of the day, we have to develop the ecosystem, because if we don't, while everybody's looking at Miami-Dade County to launch operations, including some of our customers like GlobalX, they can't do so if we haven't developed that ecosystem.
Well, now's the time to get ready, and I'm really happy to have you here to talk about the technology, to talk about Eve, and to talk about the future, because this is the future, folks. Thanks, bud. Good to see you.
Thank you, man.